Some of Russia's highest-ranking generals have not been seen in public since the mutiny by Wagner mercenaries last week. The group's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, wanted the arrest of Russian Defense Ministry officials. He accused them of incompetence and ordering attacks on his fighters. US media reports say Russia's FSB security service warned Armed Forces Chief Valery Gerasimov about Prigozhin's planned rebellion, giving him time to avoid capture. The Kremlin is dismissing reports that Gerasimov's deputy was also given advance knowledge of the mutiny. For more on this story, let's bring in Yulia Shapovalova, who's in Moscow for us. Yulia, what more do we know about how this week's events have impacted that leadership in the military?
Yeah, it's interesting that both generals have not been seen for several days since the armed rebellion last weekend. During the rebellion, Prigozhin blamed Minister Shoigu and Chief of General Staff Gerasimov for their incompetence and the death of thousands of soldiers, and basically demanded both generals to be handed over to him. Gerasimov is the commander of Russia's war in Ukraine, and there is no information about Gerasimov's whereabouts at the moment. Unlike General Gerasimov, Commander-in-Chief of Russia's Space Forces General Sergei Surovikin always enjoyed Prigozhin's complimentary comments about him and his service. Prigozhin called Surovikin the only army general who knew how to fight. They used to fight together in Syria years ago, where Surovikin was nicknamed Syrian Butcher and General Armageddon. During the recent armed rebellion, Surovikin was among the first generals who released a video addressing the mutineers. Recently, Surovikin was commander of the joint group of Russian forces in Ukraine from October 2022 to January 2023, and since January has served as deputy commander of the joint group of Russian forces in Ukraine. So the story of the missing generals started earlier when the Washington Post and the New York Times reported that General Surovikin might have known about Yevgeny Prigozhin's military mutiny, and the Moscow Times then wrote, citing its sources close to the Ministry of Defense, that Sergei Surovikin had been arrested. That information also appeared on some Russian telegram channels. Others after refuted it. Well, at the moment, there is no other evidence for that. And it's been reported that Surovikin hasn't been in contact with his family or colleagues for several days now. Sources allege that the FSB is now checking that he was complicit in the rebellion. And yesterday, on June the 28th, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said there would be a lot of speculation and gossip about the missing generals, but he neither confirmed nor denied the information that they had been questioned about the rebellion. So all we can say is that the generals are presumably being questioned about their possible role in the mutiny. Well, another interesting development of the story is that, according to a number of Russian and Belarusian sources, Yevgeny Prigozhin has flown from Belarus in the direction of Russia as he's returning for negotiations with Russian officials. That's the latest from Moscow for you.
Plenty of moving parts. Thanks so much for the update. Yulia Shapovalova in Moscow for us.